Stephen Miller erupted on Fox News after Gavin Newsom dragged him straight through the mud, even referencing that viral scandal involving Miller's wife. And let's just say, Miller did not take it well. But while Miller's busy rage screaming into cameras, Trump's signature immigration plan is collapsing in real time. Even Republican voters and Trump's biggest allies are turning their backs. And it all starts with these brutal new numbers.
But now, take a look at this. Less than 6 months into his presidency, a new Gallup poll today finds that Americans disapprove of Trump's handling of immigration by a whopping 27-point margin. Just 35% of Americans approve of his immigration agenda. And it's not just Democrats or swing voters driving those numbers. It was less than a year ago that a majority of Republicans, 61% to be exact, said they agreed with Trump's incendiary claim that immigrants are, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. But now, today in this poll, 64% of Republicans say that immigration is good for the country, according to today's Gallup poll. Likewise, just last year, only 45% of Republicans thought immigrants in the country illegally should be given a path to citizenship. And today, that number in this poll is 59%. And it's not just polls that show Trump is losing ground on this. I mean, some of Trump's biggest allies are abandoning him on his number one priority. According to the Washington Post, conservative podcaster Joe Rogan, who was key to Trump's victory, confronted Trump directly about his cruel deportation agenda. According to the Post, Rogan pushed Trump to back off deporting workers who have not committed crimes. And just 3 days after having dinner with Trump, Rogan went on his podcast and said this.
There's two things that are insane. One is the targeting of migrant workers, not cartel members, not gang members, not drug dealers, just construction workers showing up in construction sites and raiding them, gardeners.
Yeah.
Like, really?
So it only took 6 months for Trump to lose support from the American public, even Joe Rogan, on what was supposed to be his signature policy issue.
Donald Trump swore his mass deportation plan was his golden ticket to 2024. Now it's looking more like an anchor around his neck. Polls are tanking. Even Republicans are bailing. And yes, Joe Rogan, the bro king of conservative media, basically told Trump to cut the crap on air. This isn't just bad news for Trump, it's a full-blown crisis for Stephen Miller, the man whispering fascism into his ear while Trump's brain turns to pudding. Trump thought cruelty was a winning message. Turns out it's just making him lose everywhere. And before Gavin Newsom takes aim at Trump's personal hypocrisy, he took the policy apart first. Watch this.
What a disgrace what's happening in MacArthur Park. What theater? On the 6-month anniversary, after all, of these fires. That's the message from the polluted heart of the President of the United States. The polluted heart of Stephen Miller. Those National Guard men and women that were out there protecting people are now being used as political pawns. Out there on horsebacks running through soccer fields in the middle of the day. Timed around announcements and events like this. Says everything you and I need to know about the state of mind of the President of the United States in this administration.
Stephen Miller might be the single most morally bankrupt figure in Trump's orbit. And that's saying something in a White House full of grifters and ghouls. At this point, it's painfully obvious. He's running the show, not Trump. And if the architect of child separation and ICE cosplay raids is calling the shots, we've got a problem way bigger than bad polling. Worse, it proves Trump has no idea what's happening around him. He's just the face, the mask, for something way uglier behind the curtain. And Gavin Newsom, he roasted Miller's whole life in one brutal swipe. Watch this.
Gavin Newsom rages at fascist cuck Stephen Miller through spokesperson over Trump blocking court order and late-night victory dance. Governor Gavin Newsom raged through a spokesperson at White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Stephen Miller over a new ruling blocking Trump deportation forces from certain arrests and detentions, calling Miller a fascist cuck through a spokesperson. A Biden-appointed federal district judge ordered Donald Trump's administration to halt indiscriminate arrests and stops in California on Friday, just after Trump border czar Tom Homan sparked outrage by claiming the right to detain people based on attributes like physical appearance. Miller reacted to the news by posting an angry reaction to Twitter, writing, "The ruling just has been issued. A communist judge in LA has ordered ICE to report directly to her and radical left NGOs, not the president. This is another dark act of insurrection against the United States and its sovereign people." That post prompted a MAGA troll-style rebuttal from Newsom's official press office account. This fascist cuck in D.C. continues his assault on democracy and the Constitution in his attempt to replace the sovereignty of the people with autocracy. Sorry, the Constitution hurt your feelings, Stephen. Cry harder. The term cuck is a widely used MAGA slur, but in this case may refer to a derogatory rumor about Miller's marriage. Izzy Gardone, Newsom's director of communications, told Mediaite that we were inspired by the White House use of the term. Newsom used the official governor's account to post a slightly more measured reaction earlier in the evening. Justice prevailed today. The court's decision puts a temporary stop to federal immigration officials violating people's rights and racial profiling. California stands with the law and the Constitution, and I call on the Trump administration to do the same. The Trump administration has vowed to appeal the ruling.
Gavin Newsom just went nuclear on Stephen Miller, hitting him where it hurts most, his collapsing marriage and his collapsing credibility. After a judge blocked Trump's deportation dragnet, Miller spiraled into a rage, screaming about communist judges and insurrection. So Newsom's team clapped back with a savage line, "Cry harder, fascist cuck." And yes, that was a nod to the Elon Musk rumor. No wonder Miller melted down on Fox like a cartoon villain. Here it is.
California and Los Angeles are waging insurrection against the federal government. They are protecting those who traffic in the suffering of children. And by the way, do you know why so many of these unaccompanied alien minors are being put to work in slave wages and slave conditions all across California? To pay off their cartel debts. The Democrat Party is funneling these profits from rape, profits from exploitation, and yes, profits from murder.
Stephen Miller is out here ranting like he's auditioning for a dystopian movie, accusing California of insurrection and Democrats of profiting off rape and murder. Seriously, what planet is this man living on? Let's be clear, California exercising its legal authority is not treason. It's called federalism. Look it up, Stephen. We get it. You and Trump hate accountability, but checks and balances aren't some radical leftist plot. They're literally how this country was designed to work. This is textbook MAGA propaganda. Take a real issue, twist it into a fear-mongering fever dream, and hope the audience is too panicked to question it. But what they call insurrection is actually just democracy refusing to roll over for authoritarian fantasy. And Jamie Raskin, he's not having any of it. He tore down Miller's entire narrative with facts, logic, and a reality check that Miller clearly hasn't had in years. Watch this.
In power gets to do whatever they want, which of course is the Trump MAGA vision for our future.
Congressman Raskin, I would like to hear what you think about some of the comments of the White House border czar, Tom Homan, on Fox News earlier this week.
Look, people need to understand, ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need this totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, get articulable facts based on their location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions.
So, Congressman Raskin, that's probable cause he's just dismissing casually. And then you have Donald Trump, who posted on Truth Social authorizing law enforcement to arrest ICE protesters using, quote, any means necessary. What do you make of these developments for the rule of law in America?
It's plainly unconstitutional. There are constitutions on earth that operate like that, which say either there's a state of emergency, which can be unilaterally declared by an executive that then empowers the executive branch and the police and army to do whatever they want. There are some authoritarian constitutions which establish that as a norm. Neither of those is the American Constitution. Our Constitution applies in peacetime and wartime. It applies if we have a Democratic president or a Republican president. We don't have special exceptions which say the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply if Donald Trump is president. We don't have exceptions which say, well, if we're dealing with immigrants, the Constitution doesn't govern and due process doesn't operate. Justice Scalia was someone emphatic about that point, that due process operates both for non-citizens and for citizens. I've got MAGA colleagues who say to me, well, you don't think we've got due process for guilty people, do you? And I just have to crack up because we don't know if they're guilty until there's been due process. And that's what due process is all about. That's what the presumption of innocence is all about. That's what probable cause and the search warrant requirements are all about in the Fourth Amendment.
Congressman Raskin, I want to get your reaction to some breaking news that is happening right now on the president's social media platform, where he announced 30% tariff rate for the European Union starting on August 1st. That was while you were answering the first question at the start of this block. And then as you were answering Elise's question, he announced the same 30% tariff rate on Mexico. Your reaction to that?
Well, maybe I should stop talking because it sounds like he's completely out of it sounds like he's completely out of control. Look, the International Court of Trade, the American court system has been uniform and emphatic about this, right? Congress, under Article 1 of the Constitution, has the power to regulate commerce among the states and with foreign nations. Congress has always been the one to control tariffs and in limited cases has delegated power to the president. Now we've got a president who claims he's got the power to impose tariffs on the entire world, except for Russia, of course. But he's got the power to impose tariffs on everybody for whatever reason, including in the case of Brazil and Bolsonaro, because he's mad at the government there for actually holding his alter ego in Brazil to account for trying to overthrow an election a la January 6th. And then he goes ahead and just imposes these extraordinary tariffs on the people of Brazil. He thinks he can do whatever he wants, but that's not our system. And the courts have said, look, the Congress has not delegated that authority to the president. If we tried to say the president can impose whatever tariffs he wants, that itself would be an unconstitutional delegation of power to the president of the United States. We can't give our lawmaking power over to the president. So, look, we've been winning the vast majority of these cases in district courts and in appeals courts. Our problem has been in the Supreme Court on some of them, not on all of them. We need all of the courts to uphold the rule of law here and say the president is just finger painting on the Constitution. He does not have the power to impose these tariffs. And the Brazil one, for example, he was saying, well, I'm imposing this because of the trade problems they've caused for us. We have a $7.5 billion trade surplus with Brazil. And he just decided to impose it because he wanted to show, his fidelity to his friend Bolsonaro, who he feels is being unfairly treated by the Democratic government there.
Jamie Raskin just dismantled Trump's fantasy government like it was a kid's Lego set. Trump thinks being president means playing dictator, randomly tossing out tariffs, bypassing Congress, and telling ICE to detain people based on how they look. That's not policy. That's a police state fanfic with Stephen Miller holding the pen. Raskin reminded everyone the Constitution doesn't bend just because Trump throws a tantrum on Truth Social. We don't get to suspend the Fourth Amendment because someone looks undocumented. And tariffs? That power belongs to Congress, not to a guy rage posting from his golf cart. Trump's obsession with control isn't just unconstitutional, it's dangerous, and it's happening in real time, while the courts are left to clean up the mess. If you want more brutal breakdowns like this, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because what's about to come out of Trump's inner circle next? Oh, it's going to be wild.